Let's talk about it. Each Friday at this time, hosts Dennis O'Brien and Susan Johnson interview guests who are involved in their community. The show challenges conventional thoughts, probes for answers, remembers the past, imagines the future, and gets to the heart of the matter. Let's Talk About It is brought to you by Columbia Ford Kia, Route 6 in Columbia, Connecticut, and Gates GMC Nissan, Route 66, the Boston Post Road, North Windham, USA. Opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of WILI staff, management, or sponsors. Now, let's join our hosts with their guests and let's talk about it.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About It. This is Susan Johnson, and my co-host Dennis O'Brien is out doing wonderful things this evening. And I have a fabulous guest for us this evening, though. I have Dwayne Paul. He's the Executive Director of the Windham Area Interfaith Ministry Association. And we're so glad to have you here because that place is just an amazing place for us to have here in Willimantic. The work that you do there is amazing, and it's one of the things that I'm so proud of that we have here in this region, because the Windham Area Interfaith Ministry is something that I think should be replicated throughout the country and the world, because it's something that everybody does, all the different religions coming together, working in the communities, making sure people are taken care of, and just creating that sense of community. So, Dwayne Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, wonderful. So tell us a little bit about your background, because I know that I met you at the NAACP meeting, this wonderful luncheon that they have every year, and you made a wonderful speech, and I thought, I got to get him on. Let's talk about it. So, plus the great work that you're doing, and we hadn't had a chance really to talk about where we are with WAME and how with the things that you're focused on as we move forward.
Yeah. So I've been at WAME for just over 9 months now. I started on the first day of fall in 2025, September 22nd. And that's been wonderful. It's been a really neat experience. And in so many ways, WAME is a reflection of this community that I'm getting to know, where there is a spirit of, hey, something's wrong, let's fix it.
I love that.
Yeah. So much of our programming is reflective of that attitude and that spirit. Every year, for instance, we hold the Walk for Warmth, where we raise funds for utilities and rental assistance, and that is just sort of perfectly encapsulates the sort of spirit of the region that I'm getting to know, where it's like, yeah, our neighbors don't have what they need, and it's sort of very no frills. It is a thing that high effort to organize, but it is a thing that, so many hundreds of people get together and look out and raise funds to look out for their neighbors. And it's just really a beautiful effort and, really encapsulates the kind of work that we do.
Mm-hmm. And you have a background in ministry?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your background and how you kind of got led into WAME.
Yeah.
Because, it is a interfaith ministry, and whenever we have those annual events and all the ministers from all the different religions come and talk, and I'm thinking, boy, if we could just duplicate this is just wonderful.
Yeah, so I studied philosophy and theology at St. Peter's University in Jersey City, and then at Yale Divinity School here in Connecticut, and that was... golly, over 20 years ago now, which is weird to say.
It's amazing how time flies.
Yeah. And my sort of the bulk of my work, sort of part of it has been in higher education, working in sort of chaplaincy and campus ministry, doing civic engagement with students through campus ministry. And the other part was in sort of faith-based nonprofit work, like WAME. I directed a small progressive faith-based advocacy organization in Hartford called the Collaborative Center. It was started by a handful of communities of nuns and religious sisters. I am notably not a nun, but I was the first lay leader of that organization for a handful of years. And, we worked a lot on criminal justice reform policy, environmental policy, as well as sort of anti-poverty work. I'm a leader in, as a part of that work with the Collaborative Center, I became a leader in a sort of in faith-based community organizing in the sort of greater Hartford area. Yeah, I'm still very active with that. And I came to WAME because I was looking for, a position where, the sort of, I describe my work, generally speaking, or my own project as like inviting people of faith into, the work of, of justice. And any place where I can do that and have a real tangible impact on the lives of working class people is like a good place to me and kind of fits with me. And I, delightfully stumbled across WAME, and here I am.
Well, we're very pleased you stumbled over us. And let's just talk a little bit about, since you seem to have a good history on on helping people, what people's needs are. Have you noticed? It seems like you said maybe 10 years or 20 years that you've been doing this analysis. Have you noticed changes in how people are assisted at this point in time, from the time you started till today?
Yeah. So I'm 40, and a lot of my life markers were around pretty turbulent things. So I walked across the graduation stage as the global financial crisis was unfolding in May of 2008.
Okay. Well, let's just talk right there for just a second. That was a big deal to me because I was I'd been practicing law for a while with my husband. Before that, I worked at Legal Aid, working on Medicare and Medicaid cases, Social Security, disability cases, doing that kind of work in the council here for 3 terms. And so I saw a big change after that crash in 2008. And one of the things that occurred after that was a change in how our systems work to some degree, how banking seemed to, be able to develop even more, while the people who had housing, mortgages, and things like that were not able to fare as well. But I guess there are numerous reasons for the way it was, brought back. And I just wondered, when you're walking across the stage in 2008, what did you think? I mean, because a lot of us graduated around when we were just going into a recession, and it makes it really hard for people to get jobs.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I was within that context pretty fortunate that I was going straight to graduate school. That said, the income, the sort of like net income of my like graduation cohort, the sort of wealth that we have built and have not built, is still like, impacted by like graduating into that context. At the time, just sort of thinking, boy, I hope this isn't as big as some of the headlines are making it seem. And in many respects, in real dollars, I think people are still catching up even from then.
I think you're
in
right.
terms of the trajectory of their sort of economic lives, and again the sort of wealth that they have or have not accumulated. What could have been, I think, is still like impacting families, and it is, and so marching onwards, like the impact, the positive impact, for instance, of like sort of COVID relief, those like tax credits that families are able to benefit from, that provided a glimpse of what we could do if with sort of greater provisions. And then once they like were phased out, we kind of, I think many service providers and families were, kind of hit with the realities of, of a kind of more barren sort of economic landscape.
Absolutely. I think that one of the things I noticed when I started working at Legal Aid back in the early 1980s, and was that under the Reagan administration, the situation changed a lot. A lot of the social services programs were cut back. It wasn't cut back a lot, but there were also a huge amount of tax credits and exemptions given to businesses to leave the country, to move away from the Northeast or the North. And, there was a lot of change. So when you take a look at places like Willimantic, or Hartford, Bridgeport, Waterbury, all had manufacturing that got tax credits and exemptions to move somewhere else. And when they moved away, they left a big infrastructure with a lot of, with no tax base, that people were used to. So it's taken a long time to recover just from those changes. And then when Alan Greenspan, who was the head of the Fed, after Volcker, he went to the other extreme of Volcker, the former head of the Fed. And he made campaigns to get rid of the Glass-Steagall Act, for example, which was that was passed in 1933 after the Great Depression, and it was there all the way through until the late 1990s. And so those are some of the things that I don't think people think that much about when they look at the finance and the economy and how come things are the way they are. And that's what led to the big crash, because the big bubble was there, all the speculation that goes on Wall Street, and all the people who do the investing, stockbrokers and so on and so forth. All of those people were distorting the system, but they were allowed to because of the end of Glass-Steagall.
Right. And I think, where I encounter that is sort of in the impact, right? Where, people don't have, in general, lay people don't have that sort of like a real historical or sociological analysis of, what we encounter when we encounter poverty. And so it's just the face of poor people. And it's really easy to sort of moralize, particularly as Americans, right? Like, you're poor because you're not working hard enough, or you haven't taken enough initiative. Totally either forgetting or ignoring that history of jobs being moved, right? They didn't disappear. I hate when we talk about like that period as like the jobs just disappeared.
No,
they
did not.
They were taken.
Moved.
They were taken and replaced, right?
Thank you. Yes.
And but we don't see that when we see the face of like a poor person,
right?
And we don't when we're sort of divvying out responsibility. We don't account for that, and that's why I'm really grateful for ministries like WAME. That invites people to sort of look beyond the sort of surface level differences that we might have, and to call people to a greater humanity, a more loving, a more compassionate humanity, to serve one another, and to look and see real human beings in those stories.
It builds a community.
100%.
And building the community will build the strength, will build the economy. As we realize that we're all together here in Windham, Willimantic, Northeast Connecticut, Eastern Connecticut, building this community out with the strength of economy and understanding, and getting people educated so that they have a place to finish school and then go get a job. That education is very crucial, and so it's one of the things that I think will help a great deal. That sense of community that you're developing will lead to people working to make sure we get education. And give me a little bit of ideas of what you think in terms of education and where we should be going with that.
Sure. So when as I said, I've been here for 9 months, and my friends say like, "Man, we don't see you around anymore. Like, what do you?" Tell us about your new job that's like taking you across the state. And so I talk about WAME and our work as we've got sort of we are a human needs organization, and we understand human needs. And the sort of two that we focus on is making sure people have the material needs met to live a dignified life. And WAME started really as a volunteer project. Mm-hmm. Sort of 2 years before our official founding in 1984, WAME, sort of proto-WAME or pre-WAME, started as an initiative of local church women founding a clothing closet. And that's how we started. And to me, the sort of other part of our mission, the sort of other human need that we meet, is around promoting the common good through civic engagement. And so I think that piece is, that is something that many of us are reflecting on in the 250th year of our republic, but is just like a vital and central piece to WAME's identity in our work. And I think cultivating that sense of civic identity, the sense in which how you and I are connected as neighbors, how our fates are connected, how the outcomes of our lives are connected. Periodically we learn that, in crises. We momentarily remembered that in COVID, where it was like literally like your well-being is very much tied to my well-being. We learned that in economic downturns, but we need to learn that, 365 days a year, crisis or not.
Exactly. That is so, so important. And having community events, like some of the things that WIAM does. Tell us a little bit about the events that you have. And, so the Walk for Warmth is one of the great events that you have. And we want to make sure that people know about it. And this is probably a good time to begin planning, right?
Yeah. So we'll start around next month. We're going to start planning, and it is the Sunday before Thanksgiving. We come and gather. We hold a sort of interfaith service of Thanksgiving at one of the local congregations, and we do a sort of 2-mile walk around town. There are some options for shorter ones, and all those funds go directly to WAME's Housing and Utility Assistance Fund, because we provide once a year, if you are sort of eligible, folks are eligible for a one-time, once a year small grant for emergency financial assistance. And so the Walk for Warmth is one of our flagship fundraising events for that part of our ministry. It raises. Last year we had a goal, and we hit that goal of $40,000.
Wow, that's wonderful, and it certainly is necessary. Given the situation we find ourselves in with energy, because when we take a look at the fact that the price of oil and primarily, I would suspect that most of the people that have the energy need, first they go to LIHEAP and through the Access Agency, and then once those resources are no longer available, they come to WAME. And so most of them are needing oil heat because a lot of the time what happens is the situation is such that the natural gas heating can be the payments can be done throughout the year. So they can, if they get behind in the payment, then they can continue the payment all the way through to the next November.
Yeah.
And that way, and same with the electricity. But with oil, that's not available like that. So I would suspect that WAME probably does more with oil subsidies than the other two.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag for us, and I think at the end of the day, like we're not a humongous organization. We're not able to give out a ton of money, but what we do is try to prevent minor emergencies from snowballing into catastrophes that can really impact the life outcomes of families in the area, right? If your utility gets cut off, for instance, and you have a minor child in the house, you could lose custody of that child, for instance, right? And that is the kind of thing that that can be a real catastrophe, right? That really impacts the academic life of this child, the social, emotional development of the child. And if we can provide a temporary stopgap in there to prevent things from snowballing in that way, that's a real win for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it also helps the community, because when everybody has their electricity, they have their heat, all these things, then they can the kids can go to school and not worry about anything. And we can actually have that great support. So that's why the Walk for Warmth is so important. And it's something that WIAM has been doing, I think, probably
34 years.
34 years. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So, yeah, that is great. And so this is Susan Johnson. I'm here with Dwayne Paul. He's the executive director of the Windham Area Interfaith Ministry. And we are going to be right back after these messages from our great sponsors, Gates. Welcome back, everyone. This is Susan Johnson. I'm here with my guest this evening, Dwayne Paul. He's the executive director of the Windham Area Interfaith Ministry that is doing amazing work in Windham and all throughout the region. And so we're finishing up our conversation about the Walk for Warmth that They've been doing how many years now?
34 years.
34 years we've been raising money so people will have enough money to pay their energy bills for primarily oil, I believe.
Yeah, energy, but also housing and other utility assistance.
Very, very good. And then you have something else going on though as well. You got something before the Walk for Warmth. Tell us about that, because I should have been realizing that you have a golf tournament.
Yeah, on Friday, September 18th, at the Wyndham Golf Course, the St. Jude Council of the Knights of Columbus in Coventry, they are putting on I believe their 5th annual open golf tournament, a charity golf tournament, and Wayne will benefit. Really pumped, really cool, a little nervous because I am not good, but I'm incredibly proud. And so I'm going to cram a little bit this summer, but it'll be a great opportunity. They've really lined up, some really awesome offerings. If you stink at golf like me, there will be an awesome dinner, and other ways that you can support and sort of spend some time with a lot of great people supporting a good cause.
Well, that sounds great. And you can just go and have dinner. Is that it?
Yeah, that is an option. You can register. I think individual golfers are $150. And that includes some merch, and there are raffles from some local businesses, and just going to be a really good time. Family friendly event, and there will be some raffle drawings from Lakeview Restaurant, Bidwell Wine, and Bidwell Wine and Spirits, as well as the Golf Factory. If you don't play, there's a putting contest in the morning before the formal tournament. But if you don't play, there is also a $45 dinner that'll be catered as well.
Wonderful. That's great. Well, that's a wonderful thing, and that's another way to help people in the community. And there are other things that you do aside from the Walk for Warmth and this wonderful opportunity to enjoy outside with community members and play golf. But you also collect household items and clothing.
Yeah, so that's what we're known for, and that is how Wayne started. We have the Main Street Boutique, which is a free shop, and you can become, it's a membership-based shopping, and we provide free clothes, household goods, furniture. We have an awesome Bikes for Wyndham program where once a year you're eligible to receive a bike and free helmet and free lock. I think as of June 30th, we've given away about 104 bikes.
Wow, that's great.
And mostly to adults. We have children and adults bikes, but it's mostly adults looking for, reliable mode of transportation and sort of independence. So many of the people who participate in the Bikes of Wyndham program are in different stages of rebuilding their lives, and so it becomes a real lifeline to transporting themselves to work. One guy I met this spring, he moved to town. He first came in looking for some help, getting a few bucks for an ID so that he could apply for jobs. We saw him again. He said, I got not one, but 2 jobs, and I need a bike. Can you help me out so I can get to work?
Wonderful.
And so,
wow.
Again, just promoting mobility and economic independence. And so, we, every year in Wayne's shop, maybe there are 11 to 12,000 shopping trips that people take each year. And again, so many... according to United Way, 40% of Connecticut residents, can't afford to make ends meet in their respective counties. And so if we can provide, if we can close some of that gap and make the decisions that people have to make at their kitchen tables just a little less harrowing, again, that's a huge win for us, and we're really proud to do that.
That's a huge win for you, but it's also a very big win for our community because, again, having that stress lifted so people can focus on getting to work, taking care of the kids, taking care of perhaps an older parent, or a family member. These are the things that people want to focus on. They don't want to have to deal with trying to make sure they have the right clothes or the right furniture or dishes and things to cook with. Those are the kinds of things that really are very important to have when you have your place, and that's something that you do. Now, I know you have great volunteers that help with some of that. You want to tell us about your amazing volunteers that work to help WAIM?
Our volunteers don't help WAIM. Our volunteers are WAIM. That's like the whole thing. Actually, we, just in the first half of the year, individual volunteers have put in about 2,000 hours of volunteer hours at WAIM, and then we also receive groups from churches and synagogues and also businesses. We'll do volunteer days at WAIM. That's something that we're really proud to facilitate. And I want to plug that if you and your colleagues want to have a day of service and promote sort of company well-being and sense of belonging and social cohesion in your company, come on by for a day of service. But among those groups, there's been like another, say, 1,100 hours of sort of volunteer work at WAIM. And, volunteers do everything from staffing our shop. And so, they like check people in, check in our customers because we are membership based. So it's kind of like a free Costco kind of experience.
Tell us about the membership. How do you do the membership for WAIM? Tell us about that.
We serve 16 cities and towns in the region, and so it's a low barrier to entry. You just bring in some form of ID if you have it, and you can sign up. It is you sign in when you come in. You're able to come in once a month, and you sort of just check in at our front desk. We have 2 people at intake desk welcoming you there, and really the goal is to offer poor and working class people like a dignified retail experience, right? So you come in and someone's glad to see you come in here. You check in. Since everything that we don't sell, we have like some tag sales that we do as fundraisers, but everything in the WAIM shop we give away for free. And those are 99.9% of the things that we have there are just things that everyday people have donated. And so if you want to donate some gently used, clothing or household goods or furniture, we have on a Riverside Drive entrance. People can come from Tuesday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And drop that off. On the second Saturday of the month, we do some large like furniture pickups. We just restarted doing that. We have, again, some volunteers, going out with one of our staff members out on WAIM's truck.
So you have a truck, and what kind of, so you pick up sofas and beds and those kinds of things?
So so they're mostly like sort of desks and coffee tables and kitchen tables, smaller sort of like couches and love seats. And again, so much of the operation is fueled by volunteers, whether it's, processing donations, taking in donations, processing and sorting, because we are in a pretty large building. It is, and so we have a furniture section, we have a pantry section, we have a clothing section, and so all that needs to be like maintained and organized, and our volunteers do that. And then we also have some special like volunteer projects that we might do. And so, so much of this is volunteer driven, and it is kind of the secret sauce to the whole place. Yeah,
no, it's wonderful. I've been through the place in the past, and I know that that Governor Lamont's been there, and also Indeed. Governor Rell. And I don't remember if Governor Malloy came there or not. He has been here on the show, but we did have Lamont there when Victoria Nomorowski was
Indeed.
the executive director, and he was perusing the downtown area. And so, yeah, it's amazing. And I know that when Governor Rell, there's a story there, right? Governor Rell took the elevator and it didn't work. And so she made sure that Wayne got the money to fix the elevator.
Totally coincidentally.
It was. It was God, really.
Yeah, good timing, but totally coincidentally. But yeah, that is the story.
That's a good one. Yes, indeed. So, yes. But that brings another thing to mind, and that is the connection between all the religious organizations that you have, and there's also many good-hearted people wanting to volunteer. Are they coordinating with everybody as well? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have each of the congregations that are sort of WAME member congregations have delegates, and the delegates act as sort of bridges between WAME and their respective congregations. Mm-hmm. And so we meet 2 or 3 times a year with them, share updates, like ask for feedback, things about, ways that we can sort of collaborate better. And they also, and throughout the year, we're in contact with them, sharing information and coordinating on different volunteer events and such. So yeah, it is like a really powerful connection, and again, another way of like how volunteers keep the operation afloat. Because it's hard to do anything. Group projects are hard, and so you need a lot of really good people and a lot of really committed people to keep something going for 42 years.
That's right. That's right. And of course, this is a very caring community, and it was a great spot for us to have this program begin here. And and to see everybody working together like this is just another tribute to this Windham, Willimantic area, and the great people here that want to help and want to, be part of a community that does all kinds of good stuff. So, yeah, tell us a little bit more about the religious aspects from your perspective as someone who's been through that kind of training, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is every generation of believers and whatever, one's like faith is, has to decide, whether, how and whether, we'll like recreate the world, right? The world isn't this like static thing. Society isn't this static thing. And neither are our religious traditions. And so, I am heartened by efforts like and organizations and projects like WAME that appeal to the very best of our sort of pro-social values as communities of faith. Ones that says that we don't have to choose between generosity and prosperity, that we don't have to choose between individual success and striving and solidarity and connection with others. But those are choices that we have to make. We have to decide what our values are. And so, our religious traditions have produced or taken part in atrocities, and they've also produced and taken part in some of the most beautiful humanizing efforts, that history is known. I am a beneficiary of the civil rights movement. Obviously, I'm too young to have been there, too young to have witnessed it, but born right on time to benefit from it. And that is, was for many an intensely religious effort.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that you raise a really interesting thing, because one of the things that we have here is in the northeast corner and throughout the state, we have a wonderful NAACP. Leah Rawls is the president of the NAACP here. That's where I met you at the
Indeed.
NAACP, where you gave a wonderful speech. And I think that, my husband and I, Dennis O'Brien, we're both, and my co-host and my law partner, we're all
overall good guy.
Exactly. You got it. We're both members of our NAACP here, and we praise the fact that we have a group of people here very, very focused on our civil rights, everybody's civil rights, that we should all have access to the same things, that we should all be able to obtain education in an equal way and have food and housing and energy and the things that go with it, and take care of the little ones. So That's what I think of when I think about people's civil rights, having access to health care. And we have great opportunities, and we're working on bringing some of the opportunities back. But right now we have Generations, which is our federally qualified health center. We have the hospital, and we have them working on creating a cardiac center now. And we have a number of other great opportunities for people to get access to health care. So, yeah.
That is, I'm so glad that you made that connection between our civil rights and sort of basic human needs. There's no such thing as a political vacuum, right?
Right.
And you can't talk about people's civil rights, and we can't promote democracy and the rights of a human being without the things that make that possible.
Exactly. And that's what we learned after World War II with the Geneva Convention, that one of the things that would make peace in the world is making sure people had food and a place to live and education. And those were some of the negotiations that occurred during that time. And that's why Europe was brought back because of the Marshall Plan, but also because of the Geneva Convention and the understanding. That's why we have NATO, to make sure everybody has that security and works together. And these are the things that we continue to look at. And then we just finished our 250th celebration of the Declaration of Independence. And when you take a look at the language in the Declaration of Independence, especially the second section, you see a lot of the things that have been brought, not just here in this country, but other countries have copied those types of rights and things to make sure people have the access to the resources and can work together to create great communities.
Yeah, I think that is that's spot on, and we are sort of constantly striving in order for people to realize, for us as a nation and as a community, to realize our democratic ideals, to ensure that people have, the sort of basic necessities that can that fuel those efforts. When people are choosing between whether they will pay their light bill versus they will, buy their prescription that month, it's really hard to then go say, well, go be a robust participant in our democracy if you don't know where your next meal is coming from.
Exactly. And that's the kind of thing where you want to make sure people have these opportunities, where there are places in the community where people can go and talk. Now, speaking of that, WAIM also does referrals, helps people find other things to do if people have a question about things that might be going on that might benefit them. I'm sure you make some referrals to people to different places and things like that.
For sure, we do our best. We have a case management team, but we have a case management team of two, and we are a mighty organization, but a small one. And so when we can't help people out, or we can't assist them to the extent that they might need, we rely on our agency partners, on our community partners, and we'll make referrals. And even when we can help people out, when they do have a sort of a smaller or more discreet ask, we're always sure to say, like, oh, by the way, like, maybe consider this, because there are so many, dedicated people and organizations working throughout the region to make sure that all our neighbors have what they need. And so we all lean on each other for sure.
Absolutely. And speaking of our neighbors, we have Eastern Connecticut State University, we have UConn, we have our community college right here across the street. I would imagine some students may be coming and helping at WAIM as well.
Oh, yeah. We have an awesome relationship with both with all three institutions, and sending student volunteers throughout the academic year, as well as some of the students who live in and around town volunteering over the summer, actually, which is really neat to see, just to sort of, not required by any class or any organization. It's just, I'm into this, and WAIM's a good organization. And so that's been really, really, especially as a former educator, for me to see, all right, yeah,
exactly.
Get into your civic engagement just because, right? Because it's good to do that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. No, that is, and that's what got you here. But that's what will get our students moving in this direction and creating that sense of community as well. And so it's wonderful to see that we have students that are interested in doing this. They're interested in the policies that we have. And whenever we're interested in those policies, we can take a look at them in detail and do a little tweak here and there to make it even better, because that is the kind of thing that, we want to do to make sure people have more and more access. And we have to take a peek at the policy and really understand the finance systems and those types of things. So your quick take on the financing and the systems that we might take some tweaks at. And not to put you on the spot too much, but
I think my standard politically is always do people experiencing either sort of lengthy forms of poverty or bouts of it, do people have access to like what they need to live dignified lives? Mm-hmm. I think the standard has to be. That sort of like, I appreciate that sort of like Rawlsian question of like, if you knew you were going to be born into this society, but you had no idea in what strata of that society you would be born into, would you consider this a just society? And so that's always a helpful exercise to me. Like,
that's a great way to put it. I love that.
Yeah,
really.
That's
perfect.
The standard, right?
That is
if it was a blind lottery,
yes,
and you're going to be born, then we all have an interest in sort of bringing up all corners of society.
That is wonderful. Quick, 10 seconds. Go ahead.
We're on 866 Main Street here in Willimantic. We are always looking for more volunteers, and everyone's always welcome, obviously, to come shop.
Thank you so much, Dwayne Paul from WAME. Thank you so much for being on Let's Talk About It. This is Susan Johnson, and join us next week for another great show.